Lot of times, no, we say, don't cry like a girl, man up, be a man. So what does those phrases mean to you?
It means be a woman to me, because manning up in my family has always been the women, you know, like my grandmothers on my dad's side, they're all matriarchs. And, you know, the 12 sisters who were so bonded through their marriage as well, that we never knew their partners' families. I have never met any of my dad's mother's sisters, husband's families. You know, they've only socialized as a group together, and they've been very strong and vocal, very silent and vocal about what they want. You know, it's like a silent power of some sort. My mother, she was extremely masculine. She would love outdoor activities. She'd love to go on treks. Like, she had this very masculine energy. My dad, he was a complete man, but very feminine. He loved indoors, never wanted to go out much. He'd like to watch his TV and have his curd rice and be at home. And so maybe I have dubbed things differently in my head, or maybe some of it is also the stereotypes that you get as man and, you know, what's masculine, what's feminine. But in my family, I never really, there was a lot of differences in how people navigated. And then, of course, socially, we have these stereotypes like don't cry. Crying is like a girl. My sister is also an example. She was a gymnast. She loved cycling. She loved the outdoors. Whereas I liked theatre. I liked like the creative things. I'd like to watch shows on TV. So, I mean, we could immediately dub these things as this is masculine, this is feminine, this is being male, this is being female. Somewhere early on, I realized that the body and the desire are very independent things. Like the way you express your gender and the body that you're born into are really not as mapped as we'd like, as clearly mapped as we'd like them to be. And there's a lot of people I feel are, you know, everybody is searching or waiting to express themselves differently and not be mapped to, oh, this is masculine, this is feminine, this is masculine. People are just being who they are, you know. So manning up, I feel like for me it would be like, for me it's always been about being strong like a woman, like the women of my household. And the men of my household have always been a bit hesitant and not really like taking charge and being at the helm of things, but being more drawn into themselves. So these have been my role models in some sense.
Okay, so would you like to do some feminine activity?
Like what?
Like cutting onions.
Oh, I love cutting. Oh, onions.
Onions?
Of course.
Yes. So, do you actually, okay, let me ask you this. Can you actually not shed tears and cut one onion?
Not shed tears? No, I tear a lot, but I can cut onions.
Okay, so I will give you this. You keep the, here you go, and I'll give you a small, nice onion.
Okay.
Yes. Let's see. But, okay. Not bad. এটা নোট ছিল আমাকে ধরে থাকতে হবে
I try to peel very close to the skin because that's what I've been taught. I used to peel like huge chunks early on in my kitchen training, and then my grandmother said this is not the way to do it because you lose all, I mean, you need as much of the onion as you can possibly save. So, but I think I still have lost some juicy parts. I'll get some negative marks
from me,
from my household. How do you want them?
Yeah, ঠিক আছে.
Like
সোজা straight.
Straight, okay.
You go in the bindi today. Oh.
Okay.
After you are done, I will tell you how to cut onions without shedding tears.
Oh, great! I'd love this tip.
Not bad. This will do. Now let me share that trick with you.
Okay.
You should always breathe from your mouth and not from the nose.
Oh,
or
wow.
have a chewing gum.
Okay.
Like I am here.
Like breathe in and breathe out with your mouth.
From the mouth, yes.
Exciting.
See, now that also I am talking to you, I'm not actually breathing from the nose, I'm breathing from the mouth.
Okay.
This should be good enough for you. No, ঠিক আছে.
It's good.
Okay. ভালোই কেটেছে, খারাপ নয়, very nice. We'll keep it, but now I am getting the whole, oh baba. Acha, tell me this, that whole incident of a 11-year-old boy deciding that he should not go ahead and dress up. But at the same time, you told me that you have taken part and you have dressed up as Draupadi. How that did that happen? Oh, I love that character.
Yeah, this is again, I mean, this is again many episodes into the future, because now when I think back about my life and I narrate these incidents, memory has a strange thing about how it lights a bulb in your mind, and some of these things I've not thought about as much as maybe I would have thought about when I was going through them. Now I'm 38, so it's been a really long time. And when my deciding to be an artist also was like a journey in itself. And when I really started thinking about my work, and I would always sort of think about space and gender and sexuality, and maybe that came to me naturally because of these experiences that I've had. And what I noticed that we are always struggling as a culture to find womanhood or manhood and negotiate it, and then fall and fail, and then reinvent. But I don't know if we're doing it well. I don't know if we're doing it. I mean, there is a formula for it, like in a way that if you want to break away from it, women have, if they want to enter the modern phase of modernity, they have to dress a certain way. Like they have to take on man's clothes, be in the man's spaces, take on, work a lot, and that creates has created a kind of split, right? So the ones who are interested in cultural preservation, because anyway, the woman is the one who apparently holds culture in our culture. She's the one who's responsible for cultural development. So she's the one who's solely responsible. She can't lose her culture, but the man can. He can wear pants, he can do all of this, but she can't, right? So she can move forward, but we haven't really defined what moving forward is for her. And when she does, and when she adopts modernity the way she does, then we have a problem with it. So for me, actually, the triggers were two different things. One was the Mangalore pub attacks. You've heard of those?
Yes.
Yeah, when women were attacked on television, and it was televised like reality TV, like Big Boss or whatever, and people saw it, and
they were wearing masculine clothes, doing all masculine activity.
All the bad things like smoking and drinking or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was significant because it was a moment where India was moving so fast into this economic high drive, and then women were trying to go be a part of it, and then there was immediately this psychological split, like can we let them or can we not? And then you had the creation of the sanskari woman and the modern woman, and then labeling the modern woman a certain way because of the kind of things she did, the way she engaged with modernity. So this was one trigger, the kind of violence that women face either in the domestic space when they are doing whatever they do, or when they step out in the public sphere and take on the mantle of modernity. The other one was my interest in Bangalore itself as a space, because I grew up here. I was born in the city, and in the 80s, and then it rapidly started changing. And when I was in school, it was a very laid back, I wouldn't call it a small town. It never was a small town, but it was a small city, right? It was a city cradled in a lot of greenery, so we were spoiled in that sense compared to maybe Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, all these other cities. So, but rapidly there was this change also, right? This urbanization of sorts. And I actually left India for a bit, and I came back, and it had changed so much, and I wanted to reconnect with the city. So I was searching for newer ways to understand the city, and of course my adult mind got curious about a lot of things. When did this city actually come into place? Because they were also changing the names, like Bangalore was going to become Bengaluru. A lot of things were happening, political, economic. And then I discover, of course, I always look at culture because I like stories. So facts also, I feel facts told or history told in the way of stories is more interesting for me than history itself, because facts really don't appeal to the Indian's heart, I feel. So I'm in that way I feel I'm really an Indian artist, because the storytelling aspect of history is what really connected me back to history. I used to hate history before that. So the history of the city, in terms of stories, I started discovering different things, and there is this event called the Karaga, It's a
Karaga.
Karaga, yeah. It's like a traditional procession that the Tigala community, which is a community that traditionally used to also go to wars, but they were also the gardeners. So they were playing both roles for both the monarchs like Hyder Ali, Tipu, and so many other monarchs. So they come from Tamil Nadu, and here they're called Tigalas. So this community had also helped the British garden make these beautiful gardens, Lal Bagh, Cubbon Park. They grow saplings in Siddhapura. So they have an annual ritual which they still practice today. I don't know when the ritual came into place, maybe 500 years ago in the old city, the Pete that we call it. They take a procession through the entire city, that old city, and they go to various temples, and their head priest is the one who leads the congregation. He is a man, but for that one night that the procession happens, he wears a sari. He dresses up as a woman, and they believe that they have incarnated, or they have kind of descended from the fire goddess Draupadi. So there's a huge Draupadi cult where Draupadi is the primal goddess. There's a Draupadi cult in many parts of Tamil Nadu, in villages. They have a festival that happens every year. This community has affiliations to that cult, and they have of course moved here now. So that they still have these memories, right, of their tradition, and they perform it every year. What was very fascinating for me was, so in the first instance where women were sitting in pubs wearing male clothes, drinking, smoking, and being beaten up on TV, here was a live performance on the streets where a man was wearing women's clothes and walking around in the city. And I felt like, as a performer, it called out to me. I felt like I needed to do something that would bring these two things together, where I could talk about myself, my gender, have conversations about it, and talk about how the clothes make your gender, or how they invert it, or shift it around. So the Draupadi performance for me happened as a process of these two things kind of meeting somewhere.